se viene el
Thanks, Jonathan.
anuncio de la liga.
Let's just go ahead and get straight on into it. Here's the trailer for Path of Exile.
El tráiler de liga, tráiler de liga. Cállense, cállense.
Something sinister.
Uy, algo siniestro.
Thorn.
Se ve bravazo, weón. ¿Es este el PoE 1?
Plague and claw. The affliction spreads. It hungers for more. Tread lightly in the wildwood, which shifts and bites.
Sí, es la season nueva. Va a empezar el 8 de diciembre.
Accept our help. The
What?
ancient power
What?
of the
¿Qué?
Asmiri.
¿What? ¿Qué?
Beware
¿Qué
the spirits
carajo?
that yearn for freedom.
¿Son nuevas ascendencias
And the heart of evil
para todos?
waits in the dark.
¿3 nuevas ascendencias para todos? ¡Guau! ¿Qué es esto? Más 100 transfiguraciones de gemas. ¡No! Volvió Ultimátum, huevón. Volvió Ultimátum. La profecía era cierta, huevón. Lo que decían los ancianos era cierto. Puta, qué grandes. Qué grande. No, huevón. No puede ser. 8 de diciembre.
In the Affliction League, you will encounter sacred wisps, which beckon you to enter overgrown passageways
Vas a encontrarte
that
estos
lead to the
portales
Viridian Wildwood.
en las zonas. Entras.
A vile affliction has covered this forest with a foreboding darkness. You'll need to uncover the
Todo va a
forest
estar
mysteries to
oscuro.
put a stop to the source of the affliction.
Tienes un círculo de
As
luz
you
alrededor
approach the
tuyo.
darkness, the wisps burn away its affliction. Make sure you tread carefully, because they only have a limited amount of power. But be warned, the darkness is full of cursed monsters that emerge.
Entre más
to kill.
avanzas, estás encontrando con bichos.
As you explore, you might see other types of wisps trapped inside the darkness. The
Puedes
wildwood is
encontrar
trying
otro
to
tipo de
guide you
estos
towards clues about
bichitos.
its affliction. Follow the trails of wisps by collecting them, and you may uncover many different secrets. New
Al
characters to
encontrarlos,
find,
vas
shrines,
encontrando
boss
eventos.
battles, and all kinds of new encounters are lurking in the forest just waiting for you to discover them. There are many rewards to earn for those brave enough to seek them.
Hay eventos más recios como ese mini jefe.
When the sacred wisps run out of energy, they will return you back to where you came from.
Cuando se acaba la luz, cuando se
Any
acaba el
other
evento,
types of wisps you
te
have
abren este
collected
portal
will
y te
return with you
regresan.
to Rayclast. These wisps, having been saved from the affliction, disperse into the environment and inhabit randomly chosen monsters in the area, increasing their power and also their rewards. The different types of wisps have different effects on monsters, and sometimes more than one type will inhabit a single monster, making the
Mira, y
fight
eso
even
puede
harder
infectar a
and
los
even more
enemigos
rewarding.
de la zona, del mapa.
If this happens to a boss, you could be in for a tough fight, but if you can overcome it, your
Puta,
efforts
se
will not be
vienen
in vain.
cachadas, weón. Se vienen violadas
Primal
con
wisps
jefes
grant an item
infectados.
rarity bonus to inhabited monsters.
Tienes 3
Wild wisps
tipos de
grant an item
infección.
quantity bonus, and vivid wisps
La
cause them
azul
to
da
drop
rarity,
currency
el
items.
morado da quantity
If a
y
monster
el
gets all
amarillo
three
da
types, they'll
currency.
drop more items of a higher rarity and a lot of currency. While exploring the Wildwood, you might find some of the last few Asmiri wanderers who have managed to survive in the forest since it was cursed. Each of them have different survival specializations, and they are willing to teach you if you agree to help them defeat the source of the affliction, the King in the Mists. Choose which of the Asmiri that
Tienes
you will
este
complete
NPC
quests for
y
to
puedes
unlock
sacar
one
una
of 3 new
especialización.
ascendancy classes, which you can have in addition to your regular ascendancy class.
Aparte de tu ascendencia, tienes
Up to
esto.
8 points for these classes are unlocked as you complete
Tienes
more quests
8
for the
puntos.
Asmiri you are training under. The Warden of Eves can teach you to become a Warden of the Magi. A
Coges
powerful
esta
class
nueva
that takes advantage
especialización.
of wilderness knowledge. A Warden of the Magi can
Can
learn to
apply
use tinctures which
tinctures to
coat their
equipped
weapon,
weapons.
granting various
Ah, ya,
powerful
son para
effects.
poder trabajar con la nueva currency.
You can equip tinctures in your flask slots and toggle them on and off at will.
Ahí puedes poner esto en tu
You can
sección
only
de
have one enabled at a
pociones.
time, but the effects are quite conditional, so you may want to have
Y
more than one
afectan a
equipped and
tus-
swap
a tus
between them
armas.
during combat. For example, equip the Ironwood Tincture to gain the benefit of always stunning enemies on full life.
tienes esta opción que estunea siempre a los enemigos que están en vida
Tinctures
full.
can also get random mods. This one in
Puedes
particular
tener
adds
diferentes
stacks of wither
tipos de
to targets on
modificadores
full
con
life
estas
and
pociones.
steals frenzy charges on hit, which makes it great as an initiator.
Mira, esta mete Wither.
When you are fighting rare monsters or finishing off tough bosses, you will want to swap to the Oak Branch Tincture, which grants Culling Strike, increased damage against enemies on low
Cooling
life,
Strike,
and has a
weón.
chance to steal a mod from rare enemies you kill.
Puedes
You can
meterle
buy more
Cooling
tinctures
Strike a
from the
la
Warden of
poción.
These using
Concha
Primal
tu
Wisps
madre.
when you find her in the forest, so keep an eye out for her. As a Warden of the Magi gains
Igual
more
tienes que verificar un
ascendancy
flash.
points,
Sí,
they gain
pero para
access to
peleas
more
con
skills
jefes,
that
por
let them
ejemplo, la
further
mayoría del
specialize
tiempo
in
tus frascos
tinctures.
están muertos.
For example, Nature's Concoction allows you to invest in having your tinctures enhance your flasks. This ascendancy skill makes it important to think about which slots your tinctures are placed in and what flasks they are adjacent to. You will have better uptime on
Eso
those
te da
flasks and they'll be stronger as a result.
El flasco
But there are
adyacente
plenty more skills to choose
aplica
even if you don't want to
tincture.
engage with tinctures. For example, another new ability to unlock is Barkskin.
Barkskin nivel 20. ¿Qué es esa habilidad?
It's a reservation skill that causes bark to grow all over your body, increasing armor.
Ah, te va saliendo
As you
eso,
take
te
damage,
da
the
más
bark falls
armadura.
off, increasing your evasion.
Te reserva mana esa cosa. Es como un Determination
Over
2.
time, the bark will grow back, removing the evasion bonus but increasing your armor again.
Ah, y cuando te la quitan te dan
The
un
Breaker of
bono de
Oaths can
evasión,
teach you to
lol.
become a Warlock of the Mists. An
No,
ascendancy class
reemplaza las
specializing in
ascendencias,
the
son
darker arts
extras.
of the Esmeri.
Aparte de tus ascendencias tienes esto. Pero es que eso trabaja con la mecánica de la
One
liga.
powerful ability you can choose is Blood Hunt, which grants an active skill called Ravenous. This skill lets you see what type a monster is under its life bar, whether it is a demon, beast, undead, construct, or humanoid.
Puedes
Consuming a
vas a
corpse with this skill
summonear.
gives a buff to damage against that type of monster, and reduces damage taken by it.
Ah, mira, seleccionas
only
un
have one
cuerpo
type
porque
active at a
haces
time,
que los enemigos
so it's a good idea
se
to
separen en
choose
4
wisely for
tipos
the area that you are in.
y puedes ganar un bufo
Some
contra ese
bosses
tipo.
like the Maven are eldritch in nature and don't conform to the regular corpses that you have access to. But don't worry. The Breaker of Oaths has a shop where you can trade wild wisps for corpses that you can place on the ground wherever you are.
¡Uy, concha tu madre! Puedes comprar un cuerpo,
Buy an eldritch corpse
darte
and you will be
bufo
able to get
contra
the
ese
bonus while fighting
jefe
eldritch entities
y
like
pelear
the
en ese momento y tener un bufo de daño
You
contra
may
ese
notice that
jefe.
most of the corpses he sells are not monsters you normally encounter.
Te cuesta obviamente las semillas estas que tienes que juntar.
You might want to try turning some of these corpses into specters, to take advantage of some of the unique abilities that
Puedes
these monsters
convertir
have.
uno de los jefes en espectros para que te siga, weón. Puta, el
The
sueño
Warlock of
húmedo
the
de todos los
Mists
weones
gets
que
access to
hacen
many other
minions, weón.
abilities. For example,
Tener tus
there is a trio
guardianes
of
de
curses that you
espectro.
can pick from. One of these curses targets your minions, giving them life degen and making them explode for massive damage when they are near death. One of them prevents enemies from dealing damage for the latter portion of its duration, which is quite powerful against bosses. This curse creates the interesting build decision of whether or not you should increase curse duration or reduce it. The final curse is a mark that causes enemy phantasms to be spawned when you hit the marked enemy. These phantasms aren't on your side, so they work well with on-hit and on-kill trigger effects, for example. The Primal Huntress can teach you to become a Wildwood Primalist.
Puedes seguir trabajando con el
Unlike
NPC.
the other new ascendancies, the Primal Huntress lets you customize your tree.
Ah, mira, esta te deja elegir tu árbol a tu gusto, en teoría. Esta es otra de las
You do this with
ascendencias.
charms that you can buy from the Primal Huntress for Vivid Wisps. Charms have randomly generated mods, which give stats from regular
Esas
ascendancy
son
classes,
Como
allowing you to
que
create your own hybrid
talismanes que puedes
ascendancy
poner
class.
en esta cosa y te da un slot por tantos segundos cuando
Charms
usas
are
un frasco.
magic items that are aligned with different attributes. So, for
Los
example,
golpes tienen chance
this
de
Ursine
fortify,
charm is
movement
strength
speed
alone,
cannot be
and has gotten
modified
the
below
melee
base
hits have a
value.
chance
What
to
the
fortify
fuck?
stat from the champion, and the ability to stop your movement speed going below base from the Juggernaut. This interline Corvine
Cursed
charm lets you
enemies
get the
on
stat
your
that makes your
minions,
consecrated ground
kill,
effects
half
linger
the-
from the Inquisitor,
Tiene explode.
and the
What the
effect that makes
fuck?
cursed enemies explode from the Occultist. Some of the combination of mods that you might find for sale on charms can be extremely powerful, so keep a lookout for the Primal Huntress's shop even if you are not playing as a Primalist.
Ah, los charms se
As a
compran.
Primalist, you also get
Se
access
podrán
to a few
tradear,
other interesting
supongo, no lo sé.
abilities. Use war cries next to corpses and they have a chance to drop an extra item.
What the
It opens
fuck?
nearby chests
Puedes
too.
tener un Warcry y abrir cofres o hacer que tienen drop de los cuerpos.
Primalist also
Vuelve
gets
el
access to a
bárbaro de
small
gritos
extra
del Diablo
backpack,
2, weón.
just in case you find yourself needing to cart more items to town during your map runs.
Ah, ¿what? ¿Un baúl adicional? ¡No! ¡Puta, qué grandes, huevón! Puedes tener un baúl adicional como una opción. Qué paja que sea una opción, o sea, no es como que todo el mundo va a tener esa mochila extra. Si quieres esa mochila extra, pues tienes que pagarlo. Hay nuevos únicos y eso. A ver, excítame más, Chris. Ya tengo los pezones duros. Vamos, dale.
When talking to players at ExileCon, it was the #1 feature that people
Ultimátum vuelve.
When playing through in-game maps, you may sometimes encounter the Trailmaster, who offers you a choice to undertake a deadly vow.
Para los que no recuerdan esto, es como un círculo donde tienes que matar enemigos. Cuando matas a los enemigos, te deja elegir entre dos premios. Pero para elegir el premio tienes que ir a la siguiente ronda. La siguiente ronda te viene con más modificadores peligrosos para ti. Hay nuevos únicos que están agregados. ¿Qué chucha es ese anillo, huevón? What the fuck?
With a chance to spawn the Trailmaster boss fight on the 10th round, if you are able to make it that far. As part of 323, we have also removed Metamorph from the game. All the Catalyst rewards from Metamorph have now been moved to be rewards for Ultimatum. We have also added a new Val-themed Catalyst that works on corrupted items.
Los Catalysts se están moviendo a Ultimatum, no sé por qué.
That gets added to in-game, we have introduced new Ultimatum passive skills to the Atlas tree.
Sacaron Metamorph, ya no va a haber Metamorph.
One great example is the Keystone Grueling Gauntlet. It makes ultimatums last 3 extra rounds, but you cannot choose the modifiers, and it prevents the final Trailmaster boss fight from spawning.
Pero vas a hacer lo mismo, pero haces el ultimátum,
bro. Not being able to choose the modifiers makes it even harder.
Es lo mismo, pero más chévere. Igual vas a tener tu Catalyst.
It might be a bet worth making. There are lots of other Atlas passive skills you can pick from for ultimatum, so choose wisely. Now, it's time to talk about one of the largest metagame changes we've ever made. There were 3 systems in Path of Exile that were all trying to subtly modify the behavior
¿Van a cambiar
of skills.
ascendencias?
These were alternate quality gems, labyrinth helmet enchants, and
¿Van a
unique
quitar el
threshold
laberinto, huevón?
We've combined all of these together to create a new system called Transfigured Gems that allows us
Gemas
to fully achieve the goal of
transfiguradas.
these 3 systems and then some. Transfigured Gems are alternative versions of existing skill gems that have different functionality and balance.
Las gemas
from their regular
transfiguradas
features.
son modificaciones de
We have
gemas
added
que
a
ya
huge number
existen.
of these with interesting variations that drastically change how existing
Cambian
skills play.
por completo la habilidad.
For example,
Por ejemplo,
Frostbomb of Instability.
Frostbomb.
It changes it from a cooldown skill that you can cast occasionally for a large explosion
Cambia de lo que
into a skill
lanzas.
that you can cast continuously but deals less damage and doesn't apply cold exposure.
Oh.
It changes the role of Frostbomb from a utility
Ya no aplica
skill
Cold
into a main
Exposure, por
damaging
ejemplo,
skill.
pero puedes lanzarlo todo el rato de manera
Another
constante,
example
en lugar de
is
tener
Detonate Dead
cooldown.
of Scavenging.
Detonate Dead
You can't use
modificado.
it on corpses that were created by Desecrate or Unearth, but in exchange it does a whole lot more damage.
Ya
You won't be
no.
able to use it as your main reliable source of damage, but it's a great skill to use as a 4-link utility to get some extreme burst damage.
Ya no saca el daño de los
Raise
cuerpos,
zombie
creo,
of
pero
four.
hace más daño.
Instead of raising a zombie from a corpse, you summon them from midair. They fall to their death, dealing AoE damage where they land. While this
Rey
sounds like a
Zombie ya
physical
no
damage version
saca
of
un
Fire
zombie
Sword,
de
you should consider that
los
it scales
cuerpos,
with
sino
minion
cae un
damage and
puto
also
zombie
triggers
de
undead
arriba.
minion effects.
Ahí se mamaron.
Blight of Contagion. This version of Blight is now spread by Contagion, so you can use it as part of your Essence Drain.
Blight of Contagion.
We have a huge number of these.
Tienen un
Transfigure
montón de
Firestorm
habilidades
into Firestorm
cambiadas.
Meteors, Transfigure Blade Trap into
Tienen un
Blade Trap
montón
and
de
Great
cosas que
Swords,
cambian las
Transfigure
interacciones
Barrage
de las
into
habilidades.
Barrage of
Huevón,
Holy
esto es
Fire,
masivo,
and so
huevón.
on. There is a lot to experiment with, and we look forward to seeing what builds
Tienen
you
un
can
montón de
come up.
modificadores para gemas.
But how do you get Transfigured Gems?
¿Cómo consigues
The
las gemas
divine font at the
transfiguradas?
end of the Eternal Labyrinth has been changed to a gem crafting device that
Ya
can
no va a haber
modify your skills and
encantamientos,
support gems in a
sino
lot of new ways.
modificadores a las habilidades, a
One
las
of the
skills.
options you can now choose is to turn a skill gem into one of 3 transfigured gems.
Cambias una por un
But
tipo
that
de
isn't all the divine
transfigurado.
font can do. It has a lot of other gem crafting options you can use. For example, you can add quality to gems,
También
add
le puedes
experience to
agregar
gems, sacrifice a gem for
experiencia
one or more
o
treasure keys to open
quality.
Azara's chests,
Huevón.
and you can even exchange support gems for exceptional support gems.
Puedes
like
cambiar
Empower
una gema
or
de
Enlighten.
support por una gema
These are just some of
excepcional.
the options you'll
O
find
sea,
the
por
divine
una...
font is now capable of.
¡No! ¡Está huevón!
In order to replace the rewards and heists that previously gave alternate quality gems, we have done a rebalance of the rewards of heist as well.
Están cambiando highs porque ahora ya te pueden dar
Experimented base
estas
types have
gemas
been
ahí.
rebalanced. New replica uniques have been added and old
Se han
ones
agregado
changed,
nuevas
and we
gemas,
have increased
nuevos
the amount
ítems
of currency from
réplica
display cases
únicos.
as well. On top of this, we have gone through and buffed the quality stats on most damage dealing skills. In most
Están
cases, they'll be
cambiando.
significantly more powerful than before. and
Están
also more
cambiando
interesting.
los efectos del quality de las gemas.
Overall, this
Por
is one
ejemplo,
of the
Tornado Shot
largest
tira un
metagame
proyectil
shifts
más.
that we've ever done. There are so many crazy new skill combinations to plan around, so we expect to see some really interesting new builds. Next up, I'd like to hand back over to Chris to talk about the new supporter packs.
At this point, we'd usually talk about the League supporter packs. We're doing things a bit differently this year.
Huevón, las
Rather than
notas
releasing
hay
League
que
supporter
verlas
packs
todas,
today and then our
huevón.
annual core packs 2 weeks later, we've combined it all together into a strong set
¿Qué
of core
tal
supporter packs that will be
chambón,
released
weón?
alongside Path of Exile Affliction